Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Stand-up comedian and pop culture vulture Joleen Lunzer here for No Offense, All Offense, our daily pop culture reality TV, all kinds of roast and recap show. I'm here to give you a laugh. Basically, I always wanted a radio show of my own, so I just gave myself one. All right, you guys, if there's ever anything you want out of life, just give it to yourself. If no one else will give it to you, give it to yourself. So thank you for joining me live, you guys. I take a comedic look and roast and recap the latest news, pop culture things that pop off to me, interesting stories, celebrity scandals, all kinds of stuff. I am very, very opinionated. However, you are welcome to have your opinion in the live chat or the comment section. We do not have to agree. We can just continue to be baddies.
Listen, you can't keep a baddie down.
Can't keep a baddie down, you guys. So smash that like. Let's set a like goal for today, you guys. Let's do a like goal for 333. Is that a lucky number? I have no idea. 333 likes. Can we get there? If you want to support the channel further than liking or subscribing, you can always send a super chat while we're live. I'll highlight your comment. If you're watching later, you can send a super thanks. Shout out to those of you who have done that. I appreciate you. I'm going to call out Yanil. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it and got it. Love it. Super thanks, I should say. It was a super thanks that I got yesterday. So thank you guys so much. You can also send me or hit me up on the Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Everything is at the bottom of the screen in the description. Otherwise, check out my YouTube membership or my Patreon if you want to support further. Thank you, DGF. Yes, thank you, DGF, for laying down the like goal of 333. Blaine, you gave me a like for the glasses. I'll take it. I put my coffee in the microwave to heat it up, and a little too warm, Jolene, a little too warm. So we're gonna have some fun. Thank you, Lady Di. I'm glad you guys are loving these. And if you're not, sorry. No offense, all offense. All right. So we're gonna get silly with it. Sometimes we offend people, sometimes we don't. We might get canceled. We don't know. That's the thing. Day to day. Happy hump day, like Steven says. Yes, it is hump day. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Day. And Raquel's podcast has dropped. Okay. A new episode 2 of Raquel. So we'll just start with that. I'm actually going to be doing a longer video of this today, going through larger portions of her podcast. But for now, let's just hit on some of the things that are popping off regarding her latest episode. If you want to see me roast and recap her first episode of Rachel Goes Rogue, feel free to go listen to it anywhere you find your podcast. It's through iHeartRadio and iTunes and wherever else. The first episode, she started to talk about how her and Tom got together. And now it sounds like she's continuing this, because Tom Sandoval has long said, oh no, she hit on me. I still have to listen to that Teddy Mellencamp. Maybe we'll listen to a little of it this morning. The Teddy Mellencamp, 2 T's in a Pod with Tom Sandoval, the man who can't sing but keeps polluting our ears, where he was like, she took advantage of me. So Tom Sandoval tried to push a narrative that Raquel took advantage of him, you guys, in his weekend boner state. And so I was kind of happy that Rachel was going to give her side, because I hate when a problematic dude, not saying she's not a problematic woman, because she is, but I hate when a problematic dude just gets to flip the narrative. It's like, Tom, Sandy, but no one can take advantage of you. You're 80, you're in the greatest generation. Okay. You were born, during the Great Depression, but there's nothing great about you, but you can't be taken advantage of. I'm sorry. No, if anything, look at Rachel. You kind of maybe took advantage of that situation, because, oh my God, ridiculous. All right. So Rachel's going rogue on her podcast, and she's talking about Tom Sandy Butts. Let me just pull up my account here. Make sure you guys are following me at Joleen Lunzer. And also, I have another account at No Offense, All Offense, which was formerly married to Bravo. And I decided to kind of reboot it. Okay. So let's see. Rachel talks about the infamous postcard with lightning bolts. All right. We don't really hear about that. All right. Shout out to a Breaking Rules pod because they're posting these little clips of Rachel's podcast. So here, I think this, okay, so Schwartz allegedly knew, according to Rachel, from day one. I mean, did anyone think he didn't? He's a horrible liar. When he was on Watch What Happens Live and they tried to push a narrative that Schwartz only knew about the Sandoval for a couple months or since January or something. It's like, no, he knew. Then it was August, and then now it's Rachel saying it's the day after. So let's take a listen and see what she's saying here.
Happy with Schwartz when he said at the reunion that he found out in August. And that was part of the conversation that we had when he pulled me aside out of the trailer and the cameras went down. He was like, it's not cool that Schwartz came clean with his answer. He didn't come fully clean, but he definitely didn't stick to the date that Sandoval wanted him to. And I think he was reinforcing that I would stick to that story to like keep me in his grasp. And so that I wouldn't go rogue and expose it all.
Rogue.
And so it was definitely like a control tactic. And it seemed to have worked for the time being. Like at the reunion, there's a lot to process. We all three got close. We got closer together because Schwartz's apartment became a safe place for Sandoval and I to meet up. And I don't want people to necessarily go after Schwartz because I felt like Sandoval put him in a bad position where he didn't have a say. But he was not happy with Schwartz when he...
Okay, so Rachel is talking about Schwartz and the time frame, and Sandoval was very controlling on how he wanted this story to get out. And then we saw at the end of the reunion last season, Raquel, like, let me tell you the truth. We've been banging all along. We banged in the driveway. We banged in my, what was it again, you guys? It's not New Balance. That's a shoe, but it's a car. It's kind of like a New Balance because it might be German. It's a Volkswagen. And then we banged when the dog died. We banged when the grandma died. We got our horniest when it comes to the deceased. That's where we get our horniest. So Rachel is saying that Tom Sandoval, no surprise there, was surprised and mad. Not surprised. He was mad when Schwartz was changing the time frame and, but the grossest part, again, I totally like to forget about this part, is that they used Tom Schwartz's apartment as like their love den. And you saw it. We all saw Schwartz's apartment on Vanderpump Rules, and it was really dirty. The things guys will do for nasty dudes will do for some vagine. Sir, you live in you love to talk about it, 4,000 plus square foot McMansion in LA. And you took your ass to her North Hollywood studio, and then you took your ass to Tom Schwartz after he got divorced. He got a little mini apartment in LA. You took your ass to Burbank, Studio City, North Hollywood, wherever it was in the valley, to then bang in Schwartz's dirty guest room that they were trying to pretend that Joe lady who we're going to get introduced to this season, the hairdresser who was best friends with Kristen until Katie and Tom started breaking up their marriage. And then she was like, I like Tom now. So you took your ass down to the dirtiest of dirt places just to dip your wick in Raquel. Couldn't you get a W hotel? And anything else? I mean, couldn't you take a trip out to the Palm Springs or something? Shout out to Andrew Gabor, my friend Andrew Gabor in the chat. We love Gabor. If you're not already subbed to Gabor, go sub to Gabor. He's hilarious. And Gabor, you got to come on one morning for a No Offense, All Offense, and we'll talk all things Bravo and craziness, my friends. Okay. Oh, Rachel. So later today, I'm going to do a deeper dive into that because I know not all of you are interested in the Raquel, Tom Sandoval of it all, but I'm kind of here for this podcast, even though it's ridiculous. But if we have to listen to Tom Sandy Butt talk about His experience, which we know that, they're all lying liars that lie. So it's really like, who can you believe? But I don't believe Tom Sandoval when he says Rachel basically groomed his elderly ass and got him, she took advantage of him. Sir, that is not true. We all learned from Cat Williams. We have to expose the liars. That's why we're here.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies, but Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you. Like, it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen, Tom Sandoval. I know you want us to believe that happened, but it didn't happen. And it's never going to happen. And no one's ever going to believe anything he says regarding this. I mean, it's so ridiculous that Tom Sandoval would think that he was just an innocent victim. He couldn't control his own boner. And he just, Raquel was just jumping on him. She was just going to Bone Town, and he was like, "Stop it. Leave me alone. I don't want to bone you." And it's like, but you do. But you do. And you did. And I don't believe for 1 second that it's Rachel Raquel's fault completely. You're both garbage, trash bags, all of the above. Okay, let's move on to Watch What Happens Live. Did you guys watch last night? Andy Cohen seemed pretty annoyed. You guys, let me get Rachel off the screen here. So he did have MJ from Traitors on, so I'm going to have to watch. I've only been watching clips that I found on Twitter because it'll never be X to me. And Jeff Lewis was on there. Okay. Let me grab my bookmarks here. And Jeff Lewis admitted that he is going to be filming for the Real Housewives of Orange County a lunch scene. And he seemed excited about that. Remember, Jeff is good friends with Shannon Storms Bador. So I'm sure it has to do with that. And maybe, talking about John Jansen or whatever his name is, Johnny Angel. Well, as he gave this information, Andy Cohen was not very happy.
But, they asked me to film for Real Houses of Orange County. I've always wanted to be a housewife. My dream is coming true. Yeah. I'm supposed to film a lunch, I guess.
Okay, good. Well, maybe that's something that you should just keep to yourself.
No, it's okay. Spoilers.
Okay.
Oh my God, he's mad.
MJ's like, oh my God, Andy's mad. Andy's like, maybe that's something you should keep to yourself because that's technically a spoiler and you're spoiling the show. I know a lot of people hate Jeff Lewis. I don't. I find him pretty entertaining. Do I think some of his takes are trash? Sure. But lately I've been I've just been kind of enjoying the Jeff Lewis. Does that make me a bad person? I'm not sure. And he was also roasting the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We know Jeff Lewis is no fan of Monica Garcia, Funnelson, Johnson, Hernandez, whatever. Her last name is Lunzer. That might be one of her last names. She might actually be a Lunzer. I don't know. But he was also roasting up the set. Now, I will tell you, I wasn't paying much attention to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City set because it's just been so much other stuff I'm paying attention to, like what they're saying, the Mary Cosby of it all from last night's part 2. So yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to that, but Jeff Lewis has been paying attention to it, and here's what he has to say about the set for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion.
You're giving those gays, and by the way, that set is the most horrible, tacky, distasteful thing I've ever seen. It's distracting. You're giving those gays too much creative freedom. And I don't know who the blind person is who approved that, but it's terrible.
It was Monica's choice.
Here's the deal. We've done hundreds of reunions with beautiful sets. It is not one of our best.
No, thank you for admitting that.
Yes.
It's like
okay.
High school prom, like gymnasium.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a terrible, it's bad. And by the way, that set is the most horrible, tacky, distasteful thing I've ever seen. It's distracting. You're giving those gays too much creative freedom. And I don't know who the blind person is who approved that, but it's terrible.
It was Monica's choice.
Here's the deal. We've done hundreds of reunions with beautiful sets. It is not one of our best.
No, thank you for admitting that.
Yes.
It's like,
Thank you for admitting it's horrible.
High school prom, like gymnasium.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a terrible, it's bad. And by the way,
he hates the set. They're giving the gays too much freedom to do whatever they want. I don't think the set is bad only because so much happened in Bermuda and they're trying to create like a Pirates of the Caribbean thing. I guess I really wasn't paying attention. Now that I look at it, maybe I've watched too many seasons of Survivor where I'm like, this isn't bad. This looks like a Survivor. And basically this episode or this season of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City was like, they're on Survivor. Because everything good basically happened in Bermuda. Dragon says the evil gays did that. I mean, that's kind of true. Lorette says if we only watch nice people on TV or movies, there wouldn't be anyone to watch. I do enjoy people that give, their unfiltered opinion. And you're not going to agree with everyone, but for the most part, Jeff Lewis has been entertaining me. And he has a dagger for a tongue, Danielle. Danielle says Jeff does have a witty, sharp tongue. Yes. So I don't know. I mean, obviously I trust what he would say about whom de coeur, but I mean, I was paying more attention to things like this, which was one of the most cringe moments of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion last night. It was when Mary Cosby decided to tell us that her son's wife or girlfriend, she's not sure yet, she hasn't seen the paperwork, was making too much noise during sexy time, and they live in Mary's house. And she's basically insinuating he can't be that good at sex. Quit lying to my son, which I've had some time to sit on this, and I have maybe different opinion than I did in last night's roast and recap, and we'll get there. But let's take a listen to this.
How is it living with Robert Jr. and his wife?
Well, I mean, about 3 months before we started filming, she moved in.
What made you think he would be bad in bed?
How is your son, by the way? He's good. He's always doing his own thing with his girlfriend. But I heard all this noise and I was going upstairs. What were they doing? I said, oh my gosh. I said, don't make my son think he's better than he is. Just stop doing all that. Stop it. Tell him the truth. Andy, I didn't think he was bad in bed. I just told the wife or the girlfriend, stop pretending. Like, because I walk past the room and I hear all this noise. And I saw all this screaming and all this dramatic. And I'm like, it's not that serious. Like, don't give him a big head and think that he's just really, like, just come on. Like, because she was like, it was like a yell, and I was like, what's wrong? And I was like, are they okay? And then I opened it. Yeah. That happened.
Open the door?
Well, kind of. But I got the point before I did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if you got the point, what was happening? Why did you open the door?
I laughed. I was scarred.
So you told her, stop with the histrionics.
Be true to it. Like, if it's like that, then, but if it's not, don't make him think it is. Don't be faking it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. Oh my God.
So, how is it
Okay,
living with
so obviously as a mom, don't talk about your son and sex and whether he's good or bad in bed. It's weird. However, what she's saying isn't wrong. We do as women have to take the power back. You gotta stop lying to these guys, because watch Southern Charm. Shep is 66 years old and he has never given a woman an organism. Okay. Remember, everything I say is true except for the parts that are false. All things are alleged, entertainment purposes only. But you don't want him to get in a Shep situation. The kid is young now. He's 21, and so I think maybe mothers have to tell sons, fathers have to tell sons, fathers, be good to your daughters. But what about mothers, be good to your sons? Tell them they're not going to be that great at sex. If a woman be screaming, she probably be lying, because that you have self-awareness, if you're doing too much. And maybe it's the porn the kids are watching. I don't know. I don't partake in that, but there's no reason, unless you're like hurt, to be screaming that much, because that this 21-year-old who doesn't know if he's married or not, she's not wrong, is not that good at sex. There's just no way. There's no way. He don't even know if he's married. He lives in a house with green carpet. Mothers know their sons. All right. You know your sons. And this is a real weird way to know your son, but she just, is like, hey, woman to woman, the lady that might possibly be married to my son. I'm not sure. I don't know if I believe it yet. Take it down a little bit. Take it down a little bit because you're causing a problem. Because we all know this marriage, no offense, all offense, probably not going to work. You guys are 21 years old. You're living in my house. I don't think either of you have a job. All right. And now he's going to go out there like, I got it. And he doesn't have it. And he's going to have to figure out how women's bodies work. All right. We can't keep feeding the male ego and thinking it'll get better if I act like I'm having fun. If you're not having fun, I need you to go, stop. This is not fun. You are doing very badly at this. Exit my body. And maybe you guys could do a Google search of like, how to please a woman. Because you don't want to end up like Shep. You don't want to, just yelling at blackjack dealers in Las Vegas, allegedly dating women that are way too young for him and way too attractive for him, but he has money. And out there going, hey, women's bodies are just so finicky. They're so fit. They're actually not. That is a lie that corporate media, the 1%, the powers that be put out there to go, women, it's not. Ask any woman. Is it difficult? No, we figure it out somehow. Now you have to figure it out. It is not complicated. We have sensories right there. If you hit I'm not a sex ed teacher, nor do I want to be one, but I play one on YouTube. And a basic Google search, of a woman's body, not on Pornhub, like an actual educated site, go to, has to be accredited, .edu, .gov, and check it out, Caramello style. It's not hard. And if there are women out there who are like, it is hard, okay, do a Google search. And there are certain tools you can find online that will get you to the place you need to get to if these dudes aren't doing that for you. But we got to start holding men accountable, okay? You can't just lay on top, boom, boom, okay, we're done, and go to bed. No, there's a reason that women aren't as sleepy as men after sex. It's because a lot of men don't know how to do it. And you're not leaving us tired or sleepy. The only time we're really sleepy is if we are doing the work. All that screaming might make you tired because you're just like, oh, it's acting. It's a lot of acting. So you got to start being honest. So that's just what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Evelyn says, I'm 20 minutes behind, but so glad we're recapping Rachel Goes Rogue. Yes, later today. We will get, it's not, thank you. And wasn't there like an 8-year-old that figured out Tetris recently, like broke the game? So it's not Tetris. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Just peek downstairs, take a little look, play around, see what happens, all consensual, cool stuff. Chell should be competent. He doesn't need to. He's well-versed, well-trained. Okay. But if he wasn't, I would be like, stop, collaborate, and listen. We need to figure out what's going on with my vagina. You are not pleasing me, sir. You need to get down there and figure it out because it's not my job. We shouldn't have to teach men. Okay. And you can't be having these sheps walk around going, each woman is so different and finicky. That should be the joy of exploration going, you get to have multiple partners. Wow, lucky you in your life, and then you get to figure out what pleases the person. The whole act is meant for both people to enjoy, not just drunken shep. Maybe put down the bottle, sir. You got a little bit of whiskey dick. Okay. Yeah. Stop in the name of love before you break my clitoris. They get over, just like, it's not that hard. Parts of it need to be hard, but yeah, you don't, and when it's real and when it's fake. Chell and I, for my 40th birthday, we went to New York City and we stayed in a really fun hotel and we were right next to the presidential suite, or like the big suite. We had a nice room, but there was like the big suite. And we saw the gentleman who brought a lady in there and she was, more attractive than him. He had money and stuff. And boy, let me tell you, they put on a show that she was doing the most. And I looked at that man and his ill-fitting jeans and I said, there is no way that man is going to make a woman make that noise without money in the presidential suite. So stop lying. Maybe in that sense, you have to, because it's transactional at that point, allegedly, possibly. But I was, we could hear it so well. And I'm like, that's not That's not true. Even my husband was, that's not true. That was a very, it was like, "Ah!" It was just like, it's this like, come on. There are noises, sure. And if but no, nuh-uh, no. Oh, I'm steely today. What does steely mean? I don't even know. Can you imagine how boring Shep? I imagine Shep falls asleep on you sometimes and vomits. Like that's what I see. I see a boner that just and passes out, maybe farts in his sleep. When's the last time he changed the bed sheets? Who knows? The dog gets most of the bed. I don't imagine it's a good time. Just greasy, not fun. Clean it up, sir. Clean it up. So that's what we were thinking about when we were watching The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. It was last night. I was appalled. I was like, oh my God, Mary Cosby, do not talk about your son in that way. That's so creepy. It's weird. You married your step grandfather. You're not helping it, but you are staying on brand. But then I slept on it. Okay. And today I was like, maybe she's actually doing him a service. The one woman that won't lie to him, his mother. To say, listen, I know she's oohing and on in there, but let's be real. All right. I bathed you. I washed your underpants. I fed you. I listened to you cry. I know all the times you're lying. I'm your mother. And I know that you are not in a place where you are that evolved of a human that you are pleasing someone else that much. Okay. Clean it up a little bit. That's what I'm going to say. And he'll probably appreciate it. I feel like he'll maybe, because you don't want him turning into this. Here is what your son, not only Shep, but here is what your son will turn into if he's out there in the world thinking that he is just the shit. If people are lying to him and telling him, oh, you're so good with your wiener, here's what happens.
The new thing is that, as a cis male,
Did you say cyst?
raise your voice, yell, do whatever you feel entitled to do. But as a straight male, if I was a woman, I could do that. If I was a gay male, I could do that. But as a straight male, if I raise my voice, it's wrong.
Just, protect your sons. Protect your sons, because that could happen. And all of a sudden your son is Tom Sandy Butt. And it's a damn mess. Okay. So in other news, we have some allegations coming out about Chris Cuomo. Now this is more serious news. So and let me pull this up here for you guys. Angela Ray, tearfully reveals allegations of sexual harassment on Chris Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo's brother, and then he turned out to be a real winner over there. So Chris Cuomo, who you know him from 2020s, I think, right? Datelines 2020. Let's pull up the article and take a look and sound off. Let me know what you guys think about all this stuff. I love hearing from you guys. Okay. So Angela Rye, all right. I do enjoy her commentary, whether she's on like CNN or there was a time during he said it was a cyst male, Andrew Gabor, a cyst, like a cyst. Oh, very smart, Tom Sandoval. Okay. So there was a time during the pandemic where I had CNN on 24/7 and I realized that is why most people are depressed and sad, because these news stations, whether it be Fox News, CNN, whatever it is, they exist to just cause you major anxiety. And they're like, and next up, we have another story that's even scarier than the last story. And a person that looks really similar to the person you just saw explain it is going to tell you about it. Or Anderson Cooper, one of the two is going to come back. And at that time, like Don Lemon is going to tell you what Anderson Cooper just told you, but scarier. And then after Don Lemon says it, Chris Cuomo is going to come in and really make you shit your pants. And I was just like, why am I feeling so anxious watching this? And my husband was like, girl, you need to turn off the CNN, because it was just like they rolled everything so you couldn't turn it off, because you're like, but they're going to tell me the rest of the story after this. It's just a constant like clickbait. It's like, no, I just heard the story. Not much is going to change between now and then, but that's what the news does now. It's just this cycle of anxiety. And I think, if you have any family members. I know I do, whether they're CNN people or Fox News people, they are not happy. If you are watching that all the time, you're not a happy person. You cannot be a happy person. They don't want you to be a happy person. If you're a happy person, you'll turn the TV off. You'll turn the app off. You'll walk away. So they're like, no, stay with us because we have a special guest that's going to blow your dick off. So you better stay tuned. And you're like, oh, it's going to blow my dick off. And my husband's like, you don't have a dick. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Okay. It's going to blow my tots off. I need to be here for it. So I now very rarely watch any of that stuff. Obviously, I have to get my news and I go online and, prefer to like read things and then have control over what I'm watching, whether it be, okay, it's this much of this show, but I'm not going to sit there and the cycle. And I was just like, oh my God. Oh, it's a cesspool. We're all going to die. We're all going to die. Thank you, Evelyn, for the first super chat of the live. You are the best, Joleen. No, you are the best. Yes, it's designed to stress us out. It's designed to divide us. It's horrible. They want us to be Team Fox News or Team CNN, and they both suck. They suck, okay? They suck. And I know, another thing I wanted to address real quick. Everything we always say, oh, it sucks dick. You know what? This is a big reason why a lot of women and maybe men, I'm not sure, I haven't taken the exact poll, okay, are like adverse to oral on men because we equate it to something bad. We're like, oh, did you like that movie? No, it sucks dick. Oh, it was horrible. It sucks so much dick. It sucks dick. There, maybe if, you want people to enjoy the S-ing of the D again, needs like a PR team, a better marketing campaign, to be like, oh, it sucks dick. And you're like, oh yeah, it's horrible. And then you get these, well, just in my world, you get a lot of male comedians that go out there and go, girls don't want to go down on you. Well, yeah, because I'm sorry. It's that they do not have it. They use that when something's really bad. Like, oh my God, suck a dick. It's like an insult. Well, why would I want to do something insulting? I don't know. So yeah, they all suck. But back to Angela Rye, I did enjoy when I was watching, she would pop up with commentary and as a commentator on a lot of subjects and that. So apparently she is saying that allegations of sexual harassment against Chris Cuomo, which it's probably in the bloodline, no offense, all offense, with the Cuomo. So Angela Rye is using her platform to speak out against CNN anchor Chris Cuomo. Rye revealed sexual harassment allegations against Cuomo during the premiere of her new podcast, Native Land Pod, with co-hosts Andrew and Tiffany. Okay. According to Rye, the 53-year-old TV personality sent her a disturbing message in 2021. Oh my God. What was it, girl? The message, according to the former political commentator, included a disturbing note and an Instagram screenshot which shows Angela wearing a sequin swimsuit. Coworkers, don't text me. Don't call me. Don't try to find me on social media. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Okay. Very rarely, very seldom am I going to find lasting, meaningful friendships at work. Okay. It happens. We all have like a work bestie, whatever. But for the most part, leave me alone. It's my life. It's now on net. Like I'm going to Bon Jovi. Leave me alone. Don't send me stuff. Don't send me memes. It's not office hours. Okay. 8 to 5. That's it. Otherwise, don't fucking look at me. Don't talk to me. Leave me alone. But that's just me. Okay. I'm very sweet like that. So he said, Happy New Year, tinsel crotch. What? So she was wearing a sequin swimsuit. And he said also, why a sequin swimsuit? That seems like it would not breathe very well. That could be a yeaster for Easter. But also is that just for like the gram? You just wear that, you take the pictures and you put on your real swimsuit because that seems like it might weigh you down in the water. That might be kind of heavy. Okay. So then he said, Happy New Year, tinsel crotch. And he included a screenshot of Angela in the swimsuit. These news anchors they're the worst. This is the worst. This is so, okay. Rye, who was a regular guest on CNN's Cuomo primetime show, said the former anchor caused one of the most embarrassing, humiliating experiences she ever faced. My story is one that I never thought I'd tell and sits at the intersection, frankly, of power and harassment, she said on her show. Okay. Fighting through tears, Rye said she never expected to be harassed when she posted her bikini photo on New Year's Day 2021. All right. It all began on New Year's Day when I posted a picture of myself looking forward to the new year in a gold sequin bikini, she said. I read and reread the message a dozen times trying to understand. Rye, who is now the CEO of Impact Strategies per Bossip, shout out to Bossip and Yahoo News, said she was afraid to speak out for a long time, but she hopes to use her new podcast to encourage other women who have similar stories. Okay. We're going to keep reading. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, she wants to encourage women with similar stories. The Native Land Pod host said CNN fired her 3 weeks after she received the disturbing message. All right, that's a problem. From Cuomo. Executives allegedly told Rye that the network is aiming to focus more on COVID coverage instead of political commentary. Yeah, just shove that down our throats. We didn't get enough of that. We didn't get enough fear of like, you're all going to die. Covina, the COVID-19, it's a panakuchen. Like, we didn't get enough of that. Okay. The former CNN commentator said the network quickly replaced her with 2 Black women who were hired as contributors for half the money she was getting. I mean, that sounds like what these corporate companies do. They will, if they can save a dime, they will throw you under the bus. They do not give a shit. They do not. Okay. Yeah, who among us, thank you, hasn't posted a bikini pic on New Year's Day? That's how I want to start my New Year, depressed. Exactly. Okay. So then, all right. She said Cuomo was fired from CNN less than a year later for his alleged role in the sexual harassment case his brother Andrew Cuomo, as the former New York governor, faced sexual assault allegations. Cuomo was accused of giving his brother tips and stories that were being written about him. How did they not see that coming? I mean, you didn't think it'd be a conflict of interest that maybe challenge his journalistic integrity, that his brother is in politics and he might go, yo, bro, they about to do a story about you showing your dick to ladies who don't want to see your dick. Thanks, bro. Cuomo power. Yeah, bro. Cuomo's for life. So where's my wife? Oh, she's right behind me. Gotta go. Hang up. So stupid. So stupid. All right. So they figured that out. Oh my God. Oh my God. Rye said Cuomo messaged her from a new phone in 2023 and asked her if she was angry with him. Oh my God, dude, drop it. Drop it. This is ridiculous. Right? Haley, listen in the car. Drive safe. Are you mad at me? That was in 2021, bro. Yeah, I'm mad at you. We're women. We're going to remember this till the day we freaking die. All right. We've already done a bunch of spells and witchcraft and hope that your balls fall off. Angela said, Rye says, I was. But I was really mad at myself, Rye said, per the Wrap. I was mad at myself for not saying anything sooner because I was lacking courage and preferring my financial well-being over my mental health, not standing up for women who are often left powerless in these situations. As Rye told her story on the podcast, co-host Cross shared her own experience and reminded her friend that she is not alone in her fight. We've all experienced something like that. As you know, from civil rights leaders to members of Congress to people we know, she said, there's a civil rights leader who used to call me and say, I just want to talk to the twins, referring to my breasts. Oh my God. And they're not even clever. At least if you're going to sexually harass me, at least make it clever. You know what I mean? Oh, Happy New Year, tinsel crotch. First of all, it's not tinsel, it's sequins, bitch. And then the twins, no, that is too obvious. Okay. If you don't call them my tater tots, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. Okay. So horrible. Referring to my breasts, my breastises. Rye made it clear that she will never be silenced again. Well, good. Don't. So no, Chris, I won't be a guest on your program now or later. Thank you for the platform. Don't thank him. It was not worth all of my mental and emotional turmoil, she said. And I thank God that I'm clear about the fact that you can't take away a voice you never created. You are the network executives who enabled you. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, not surprising. Glad she spoke out. What a weird thing to send your coworker. It's not even funny. Happy New Year, tinsel crotch. Yeah, Chris Cuomo, weird. And I mean, I'll be honest, as a stand-up comedian, and this isn't good response, I'm like, that's it. Because as a woman in comedy, I mean, You know, I don't know how many times I was asked, whose dick did you suck? You know, who did you fuck to get on this show? You know, one time a comic brought me up and said, this next comedian fucks for stage time, or how many times I was inappropriately touched, or, you know what I mean? Like, or someone attempted to do that. So I was like, well, tinsel crotch. But still, you know, that opens the door to more and more shit. And it's like, I am your peer. I am your equal. I'm probably better than you. No offense, all offense. And you think it's appropriate, Chris Cuomo, with your pervert brother and your pervert background, to be sending me these things when you're not funny. You're not funny one bit. This isn't cute. I'm not your little friend. I'm not your little buddy. All right. Respect my vagina. But I'm glad that that she spoke out. Teresa said, most harassers are lame and operate, yes, with third grade references. That's half of why it's annoying. You're in your 30s and hearing the same nonsense from when you're, yeah. As women, unfortunately, we have been, you know, we've been kind of conditioned, for lack of a better word, with this stuff. And it's important to remember that none of it's appropriate, none of it's acceptable. And this isn't how you should be communicating with your peers, your coworkers, anybody, this sort of thing. And oh, gross. And then that civil rights person, or the member of Congress, who doesn't surprise me because they're the biggest pervs. I worked for the Minnesota State Senate for a little bit, and there are some perverts. And when I worked there, they were going down because they were drinking on the job. I wasn't. I was very young. They tried to cut my internet right now, but I was fresh out of college, and I interned for a female senator, and then I was like a page, and then I was a front desk within the Senate, you know. And the news they had cameras, and they went and they did like a sting operation where they were filming these senators during session, which is, you know, the time when all the things, the senators actually have to show up and be on the floor, and they vote, and bills are passed, and all kinds of things. And they were drinking, and there had been a long history, I'm sure, even at the congressional level, at the United States Congress, of drinking on the job. But they were like drinking. So I think it was Fox 9 or something, a news in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, that did a undercover cameras and caught all these senators just getting lit, partying. And this is early 2000s, partying when there's on the job. Like, that's your taxpayer money. Like, that they are, you know, they're just drinking and having a good old time. And I was offered, the Speaker of the House at the time, I think he's dead now, RIP, but he wasn't that great anyways. I went up and I had to bring something up to his office, and he had a bunch of people up there, and they were drinking and just sitting around. Because you would be there from, you know, these like long nights, especially at the end of session and stuff. It just, sometimes you might be there for like 24 hours or something. And I went up there to deliver something. They're like, hey, Joleen, do you want a drink? And I actually, the young person there, was like, no, thank you. Mostly because I didn't want to drink with old people. I was kind of being ageist, like that Renee lady who's on Mean Girls, who was just on Watch What Happens Live. And I was like, ew, gross. No, you're my grandpa. Ew. Why would I want to? I had a grandpa, and he was super cool, and I would drink with him. But no, thank you. I don't want to drink with you. And they're like, okay. And part of that clip, or, you know, they played part of it from that, because he was the not the speaker, he was the Senate, so he was the president, or whatever they call it, I forget at the time, but he was like the head guy that sat up on the highest platform in Senate chambers, and from his office. And I was so happy that I didn't drink with them. First of all, lame, boring, bring a book. When you're like 21, 22, 23, 24, you're like, no, I do not want to drink with people older than my parents. Ew, gross. Unless it's like a Tom Girardi thing and I want to change my life and live in a mansion or something. But no, thank you. No, thank you. I want to go home and hang out with my friends who are cool, not the elderly. And if you guys would stop drinking so much, we could go home and we wouldn't be here so long. So I was very happy that I made that choice, because then after session ended, I had to go find another job, and I had that on my resume. And so every job was like, oh, you worked for the Minnesota State Senate? Oh, were you a part of the drinking scandal thing? And I was like, no. And you can clearly see that you will not find me in one of those videos drinking with those elderly people, because I thought that was lame. I was like, I want to go out with my friends. I want to leave, you know? I don't want to be here with you old people. Okay. Lee says, red light. I'm loving hearing Jolene stories. Yay. Yes, yes. Minnesota dirt. I know. There's lots of Minnesota dirt of lots of things, I'm sure. No, there is. There for sure is. But a lot of those people are dead now. So it's like, I mean, I think so. I don't really know. But there are lots of pervies. And the weirdest part was my mom worked there. So it was total like a nepotism thing. And everyone loved Nana, but some of her like older friends, like when I'm 22 and some of these senators who I guess her friends are not really, would say things I'd be like, yuck, ew, gross, ugh, barf. And some of these older senators, I mean, you're only on a state level, like, dude, get your ego in check. It's not that cool. But they really thought highly of themselves. They forgot that there were other states and a whole world out there, and no one was really impressed by local politicians. I mean, I wasn't. But some of them dated very young, like my age, young. And I was like, no, gross. I just had a really shitty bitchy look on my face. I was not the one. But it's like, my mom, like, you're weird. And at that time, it's early 2000s. So people are talking about this stuff kind of, but there's no online community talking about this. This is pre-Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, So it's really you just sharing stories. And then later in life, talking with my mom and her experience, which was so much more blatant than even my experience, which now women in their 20s and 30s, will all have, unfortunately, these same kind of stories of these gross dudes. But these kind of dudes always seek out power, so that they can abuse it in this way. And it's just a gross. Lorette says, yes, Jillian, the comedy world must be brutal. I'm a female. Oh, you're a female professional poker player. Oh, so you understand. And that's tough too. Back in the day, I was a model and actor, so I'm used to it. Yeah, there's so much. I mean, I have so many stories, and there's been times where especially when Me Too was going on, there were, some comedians I worked with, none of them were like that famous anyways, but that I even wrote a story, like a whole story of one of the guys, and I never published it or put it out there. It was very therapeutic for me to just write it. Because this guy was just so verbally, emotionally creepy, abusive, all the bad stuff. And then did that thing that men do when you call them out on their bullshit. Because I did finally call this comedian out who I would tour with, and turned it on me. And you're crazy. Wrote me a really crazy email I still have, like, you're bipolar, you're crazy. This is what you do. You should be grateful, because I stood up for myself. And he almost like knocked me out. Like, he wanted to fight me. People had to like step in. We were at a restaurant after the last show I ever performed with him, and he's still out there, doing his thing. Occasionally, I think ends up on a TV show here and there, but he's nothing important or anything like that. But I was very happy that I finally, I was younger in comedy, and you're excited when people want to take you on the road with them when you're kind of a newer comic, and there's just so many men, and there's certain, problematic dudes that they just, this one in particular treated me like I was his girlfriend or something. And if guys after shows talked to me, he got mad. He was just a miserable guy. And I would hear, because sometimes you have to share, like, if you don't get a hotel room from the club you're working when you're traveling, sometimes they have like these comedy condos, or like spaces that they buy. And we were in Edmonton, performing at Rick Bronson's club up there. And I want to go back. I liked that club because it was it in the mall? I think it was, because his club in Minnesota is in the mall too. And he had a really nice condo that he puts you up in, and you're on separate sides, but you're sharing like a space, And I would hear this comedian yelling at the women he was dating and getting money from them. And like the C word was always coming out of his mouth. And he just was like an unhealthy, just fuck face. And I had just put up with it long enough, because I think it was still a time where you question, am I making too big of a deal out of this? And you want to keep traveling, but you're not at the headliner status yet. So is this just what I put up with? I hear lots of stories about this. And then finally, I just let him have it when we were in, it was in Texas. And I think it was, what city is that? It's like near the border. I mean, and there's lots. Texas is huge. I forget now what city it was in. But name some southern Texas cities, not Brownsville. but we were there and we were out to eat with like the opener, the host who was a local, his girlfriend, and the headliner and myself, as I was traveling around featuring for him, because in stand-up a lot of times it's host, opener, the host, the feature goes on, and then the headliner. Okay. El Paso, thank you, Stacked. It was El Paso. And this was like our second time going to El Paso together. And I really liked the audiences out there. They were great. And we were at a restaurant after the last show. It was like a Sunday show. And we were going to fly out that next morning. And so we were getting food. And I had just had it with this guy. He was just, again, rude, inappropriate, just the worst, like a bully. And so I finally stood up to him very calmly, and he got up in my face like he was going to fight me. He got mad because me and the girlfriend of the host were saying how cute the little server was. There was a server, and he was probably, early 20s or something. He was just so sweet and cute. We're like, he's so cute. And he was like, he got so mad at particularly me. And I'm like, I had been dating Chell this whole time. I don't even think we were married yet. And I'm like, I don't date you. Ew, gross. And he was like, he wouldn't fuck either of you. And he just got so aggressive. And I remember I had a vegetable platter, and I was just eating my vegetable platter, dipping it in ranch. And I was like, you need to get help, Brian. You need something. You're mentally ill. You need to stop picking on women, Brian. And I stayed so calm because I tend to be kind of good in those situations, where I just, if I have to dismantle you, I will. But I was scared because he's a really big guy, and you just never knew if he was gonna, go off. I mean, he had screamed at me before, yelled at me. And looking back, it's sad that I put up with it for as long as I did, but I never thought I would. And I think that's the time, sometimes we look at women, and women who are more outspoken or who we think might be strong, whatever that means, won't put up with that stuff. They tend to be the ones that do put up with it. So check in on all your friends, especially your strong ones. If you think they're strong, just check in on everybody, make sure they're okay. But I just was like, you need to get help. You're very sick, Brian. And I just kept eating and he got up in my face. And then the server, the cute little guy server, he had to kind of get in the middle. And then they ordered him a cab at the time or whatever to go back to the hotel. And I was like legit scared because he was like double my size and just off the rails, cuckoo bananas. And the server, I remember he just hugged me. And he was like, I'm so sorry, because he thought it was my boyfriend. And he's like, ugh. And I was like, no, he's just a crazy dude comedian. A lot of them are like that. It's not my boyfriend, but thank you. And I remember driving back to my hotel with the host of our show, a guy, and his girlfriend, who was lovely. His girlfriend was lovely. And the girlfriend like started to cry. Like she was so scared in that moment because this Brian guy got so mad. And the host guy, he was like, oh, I can't believe he did that. We'll drive you. We'll walk you up to your room. I told the receptionist, I said, please don't tell if he's looking for me, because he had been being weird for a while. So I said, when we would go to hotels, I would always go, oh, I'll meet you down in your room when we had to leave for the show, when like the driver arrived or something to take us to the club we were performing at. And so I would never tell him my room number. And I started telling Chell these little things like, just to be safe, because I've had my share of, experience with abusive, problematic men. Okay. And, but I was having fun at these shows, and I was getting to travel, and it was like, I didn't want him to ruin this for me. But he was just a monster. And so I was telling the receptionist, like, if he calls looking for my room number, don't tell him. And so I reiterated that, and she was like, okay. And the host was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. They walked me in my room. Like, it's okay. It's the final straw now. He wanted to like physically assault me. So I'm now going to change my flight. I think I called Chell, obviously. I talked to Nana, and I changed my flight and left immediately. But the crazy thing is, the host, who was so worried, he was the one that's like, we should probably walk you to your room. We don't know what he'll do. And I'm like, thank you. Guess who became his new feature? The host guy. So it's I thought I had like a guy who was actually like, oh, wow, this guy living in El Paso, his girlfriend and him witnessed all of this craziness that this comedian did to me. And we're so worried about whether like he was going to hurt me and stuff. And then he took the job after I was like, goodbye, Brian. I'm done now. And I think he might still feature for him now or something. I don't know. I see this dude on Facebook and I'm like, he's almost worse, because you saw that go down and then you're so thirsty that you went and you took my scraps. And then another woman who he had featuring for him after me, she didn't know anything about it, but we know each other through, women comedy. We're all like, we know each other, like, okay, we understand each other. She messaged me one time asking me, he talks about you and says these really mean things. And I've noticed he's cuckoo bananas. And I was like, yeah, girl, run. We can cancel them both. But here's the thing. They don't got nothing. So last I heard, I think that Brian guy was like, had a GoFundMe or was begging for money or something. I don't know. So, I mean, other than being like an extra or bit part on Mad Men and a couple other shows, I think he was actually on a show back in the day, like that only lasted one season, maybe in the like late 90s. That was like his claim to fame. But unfortunately, yeah, he's still going to get work. I don't give a shit. But any chance I get that someone asks me about him, like another woman comedian, and I made sure to tell, women comedian groups I was in about this guy. But yeah, and then he sent me this. Oh, me and Chell, I think we found that email. It was like in the last couple years and read it and we're like crazy. This like, because we know so much more now as a society, we are having these conversations where back then, I mean, I don't even remember what year this was. 2014, 2015, maybe 26. I don't remember. But even then we were starting to have conversations, but now we have so much conversations and everyone's a narcissist and, we're learning gaslighting and all these terms that we never talked about before. And reading his email now, knowing what we know, I'm like, oh my God, he's a whole ass sociopath and how he was trying to turn it on me. And just crazy, just like, you better not say anything. And I was like, oh my God. So yeah, it's I get it. That's why anytime I see these stories with Angela Rye, like her story here, there are these times where you look back and you say, why didn't I say something right away? But it's shitty for women because we're put in these situations where, you might have an opportunity and you're enjoying the opportunity. I was enjoying traveling. I was enjoying being his feature. I was, a comedian that was comfortable in a feature spot, which is, anywhere from, 15 minutes to a half hour. And I wasn't ready for that headline or hour spot at the time. And so I was having fun and it was going to take these opportunities away. I was meeting people. I was, going to these different cities and it was all being paid for. It was like what you dream to do as a comedian. It was like the start of that. But then after I got, after I finally was like, bye, I got much better opportunities. I got to go travel overseas and got paid by the United States government to entertain the troops in Europe and Kosovo, which Europe is in Kosovo, right? Yeah. Anyways, geography, painful. So my life was much better off, but it sucks for women that we have to possibly pass or be worried that we're going to get fired or we're going to get labeled as difficult to work with or things like that if we speak up and state our boundaries. But if, 43-year-old Joleen could tell early 30-something Joleen at that time, I would say run Rudolph, like run so fast and don't look back the first time he screamed at you, the first time he was creepy to you. But, hindsight, now we know all that stuff. Witness says, wow, that sucks. Why don't people see aggressive people like that as a problem? It is crazy. So a douche nozzle is more useful than that. Brian. Danielle says working in the nightclubs, bars, the women are conditioned to all that gross. Yeah. And I had come from working in bars and restaurants forever before doing comedy. The gross behavior. Now I'm looking back and recognizing the stuff that men got away with towards women, but it was a job. Yeah, it was a job. And you're trying to make money and you're trying to get ahead and all these things. And it's shitty. It's shitty. And thank you for saying I look nice today. I appreciate that. Yeah. So they immediately, what they do is they discredit you. And it's crazy. Cammie says a lot of times when you report them or file a restraining order, it only inflames them. Yep. It's best to tell your closest friends and show them a photo if you can. Yeah, it is crazy because just me finally confronting him in front of other people, he lost it. Like I was just sitting and he was in my face. Like it looked like he wanted to kill me. And I was like, well, this ain't my first rodeo with a problematic dude. But I was, I'd be lying to say I wasn't scared. I was scared. I was scared. He was huge. Like compared to me, at the time I probably weighed like 150 pounds, 140 pounds. And this man was like 250 and much taller than me. And crazy. Yeah. Unfortunately, like Stacked is saying, yeah, hugs to the entire chat. And these stories are more common than we think. And so it is important, for people to speak up and share your stories, because that's what we learned with Me Too and stuff, is that, wow, this is way more common. We're really protecting a lot of predators and a lot of problematic people. And unfortunately, there was a lot of change that happened, but I still think there's just so many predators and so many businesses. And, ultimately money can get you out of a lot of shit, money and power, and people still misuse their, power. And there's still issues out there. There's still, we still have a lot of problematic dudes. And so, I always say I have spent my life fighting problematic dudes. I get tired. Since I was a little girl, my mom will tell me stories. She's like, and my friend was cheating with this guy, and he came over to the house, prime example, and sat on, she wanted to introduce our family to her guy that had a wife and kids. And he came over to our house, and my mom said I was probably, I don't know, 6, 7, something. And he sat in my dad's recliner. I remember thinking, that's weird. And as a kid, you hear things. And I said to the man, I go, why aren't you home with your family? And I'm just a little girl. And I'm just like, well, why aren't you home with your family? Shouldn't you be home with your family? I just call it out. I have an aunt who likes to marry very problematic men, and spent a long time calling him out and his abusive language towards her, myself, a lot of things. So unfortunately, there's a lot of problems. But it did make me very good at handling these kind of dudes. Unfortunately, it's something you don't want to have a skill in. I don't want to have to dismantle this broken penis man right in front of me, but I've had so much experience. It's like, how can I not be good at it? Teresa said it's in every industry. I was in social work, and we're literally trained in this, and everyone still failed. Be vigilant. Yep. It's everywhere. So it wasn't just when Hollywood came out, it just gave it a lot of exposure, but it was happening on all levels. Every woman in this chat, and some of the men too, have a story about this sort of thing and this sort of harassment. So yeah, yes, they're in the family. Toxic masculinity is it's a panacookin. So yeah, insightful. I was sassy. That's why I always told my little niece. I used to have her say, if people call you sassy or they call you bossy, say, I'm not bossy, I'm assertive, and I know what I want. Like, don't let them silence you with that. Lorette says, I was once followed out of a casino by a guy who was verbally abusing a female dealer. So I stood up for her, which infuriated him. He was screaming at me and brought 2 guys and followed me to the Oh my gosh, Lorette, that is terrifying. But all too common, you confront these kind of people and they lose it. They are so fragile in their egos. And if you look at most of these like Dateline and murder shows, a guy's ego was bruised by a woman. And it was rejection. He got rejected. In that sense, you rejected that guy, and you were rejecting what he was doing to that female dealer and calling him out. And that to him was rejection. And he can't process it. So stay safe. Craziness, you guys. Okay, so we went on a tangent, but a very important tangent, In other news, moving along, Dan Giesling from the Traitors season 2 has a podcast. Did you guys know? Do you know about this? Did you hear about this? I forget. Is that from South Park? I don't know. Well, he has a podcast. I think there's only 2 episodes out. Okay. In his most recent episode, and you can go follow him on his YouTube account to watch the whole thing. but he has Brittany Haynes from this past season of Reindeer Games, and I listened to it in its entirety this morning, and it was so good. And they had a really great conversation. If anything, it was a very conversational style with Dan Giesling. And they, it was how long is an hour and 21 minutes, but it was very insightful. And Brittany shared a lot about her life, her experience on Big Brother. She talked about how she watched it from when she was young. And, we all love Brittany because Brittany, speaking of sassy ladies with a quick wit, Brittany Haynes is one of them. She talked about her background in the pageant world, which explains a lot. And she said, obviously, and she's so fun and funny in her, like, even conversation delivery. And Dan did a great job of asking her some really good questions and just letting her speak to get to know her better with her Big Brother background and her as a person as a whole, and how entertaining. And you could tell that these two had a close friendship. And she said she'd been watching Big Brother since she was young, and it's really the only reality show she ever wanted to be on. But her mom signed her up for The Bachelor behind her back while she was applying for Big Brother, because her mom didn't like her boyfriend at the time. So the Bachelor or Bachelorette people called her and were like, and she's like, oh my God, it's an LA number. Maybe it's Big Brother. Turns out it was the Bachelor people. And she was like, what? I didn't sign up for this. So, and apparently I think her mom was, or am I confusing Monica's mom? I don't know. Her mom might have won. I forget, but watch the whole interview. It is, it's great. Mims is in the chat. Yes, of course, Mims. Brittany is one of your all-time faves because she's clever and she's witty and she's snarky and she's so fun to watch. Mim says, for some reason, I feel like Dan bathes twice a week. Just, I think it's a little too much gel pomade, something like that. But yes, Linda, thank you. It was a really refreshing, good podcast to listen to. I really enjoyed it. I hope Dan keeps doing this with people within the Big Brother world. I think he interviewed some Michigan State coach or something. No offense, all offense. I'm not really interested in the sporty sport of it all with that. But Brittany, she talked about, her daughters and how she's raising them, and how she was when she was young and growing up in like a small town, and giving her daughters, like, the choices even to like not brush their hair. And it seems, very different than she was raised, which in the pageant world, obviously, where you're really like put together and you don't really have a ton of choices when it comes to that. They're going to, groom you the way they see will possibly win. So it was great to hear that. And then also hearing her journey when her little baby, one of her daughters had cancer, and now it's been 10 years since that, and hearing her very like raw and honest and vulnerable conversation regarding that, and the work she did on herself in therapy to process all of that, and wondering, will I ever laugh again? All these things. So it was great. And also just like when she left the Big Brother show, like on the finale, or I think it was finale night, they told her, oh, BTW, your house burned down. So the house she was sharing with this boyfriend, her mom didn't like, so her mom signed her up for The Bachelor, burned down. And she was like, huh? So going into, the finale, the live taping, they're telling her, your house burned down. So she ended up breaking up with that boyfriend. She moved out of her small town in Arkansas where she grew up, and she moved to New York City, where she met, I believe, her now husband, but they might be from that. Just watch the whole interview. It was very nice. It was insightful. It was like funny. It was entertaining. I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, what are they going to talk about? I enjoy both of these Big Brother players. Brittany is one of my favorite, but it was just as enjoyable as I thought it would be. Yes. So quick-witted. Jen says, I don't know, Dan, but Michigan State coach might have been about the doctor and gymnast scandal. Oh God, that one is, ooh, yes. Maybe, I'm not sure. I didn't listen to it, but yeah. The house burned down, and she was like, my parents' house? And they're like, no, the house you share with your boyfriend at the time, and it was a rental, but she said she lost everything. But her dog survived. So that's all. Obviously, that's all I would care about. If my whole house burned down, is Chell okay, the dogs, and Tilly? That's it. I don't care. You can take anything else. And so she said, looking back, it was kind of like the kind of cleanse she needed, to just move forward. So, and she went to New York and she loved her time in New York. And, they talked about why she went back to reindeer games. And so I was like, is Dan Kiesling, does he really want to come back to Traitors because he wants to launch this podcast? But then I was looking at his channel and he has, Dan has over 100,000 on YouTube, which there's not a lot of former Big Brother players who have that much, have that many subscribers. I think a lot of them want to, but yeah, he has 112,000. He's got these videos he does where he's playing like video games and talking. So it's very Twitch-esque. And I think he does have a Twitch channel as well that he streams to, but he looks like he's just starting this podcast journey. And I would say keep up with the Big Brother people, Dan, or the Traitors people, because this one's already got almost 10,000 views, So yeah, he has quite a big following. I mean, this one 2 years ago, playing games got him over more than 500,000 views. Oh, geez. Sometimes I don't know if it's still that popular I'm sure it is for certain channels and for kids and stuff, playing video games. But when I first went over to Twitch, just kind of wanting another channel in case something ever happened to my YouTube, I think I was playing Sims with people watching, and I do love The Sims. But yeah, Stack says Dan does gaming on YouTube and Twitch and Discord. Yeah, it seems like he's pretty pretty popular when it comes to that stuff. Dan finally going to talk BB. Brittany does say at the end of this interview, she goes, Dan, I really thought I was going to divert back to you and make you talk more, but you have this way about you that I talk the whole time. And I think that is Dan. And she goes, I feel like, are you gaming me? Because she said that in BB14, he talked to Jen City out in the backyard about like how she picked up the guitar for the first time. And Brittany was like, not interested. And Dan is really good at letting other people do the talking, as we know from Traitor Season 2, where he needs to talk a little bit more, but showing interest in other people and letting them speak. I mean, people love that shit. People, if you let someone talk about themselves, they love it. I know if I'm talking to someone and I'm like, they really cared about what I had to say. So he's serene that way, where he knows how to turn that on for the game to seemingly be invested in someone's life. But Dan's like, no, Brittany, this was real. Like, I really am interested in you. And she's like, sure. Victor says he was live not too long ago. He streams on weekdays in the morning. Yeah, it seems like he has good success with that. And that, I think that's maybe what he does now, and has been doing that. But he definitely wanted to not talk about Big Brother. I think he kind of just put that behind him, and then coming back to Traitors. He still says he doesn't watch Big Brother, but he did watch Brittany on Reindeer Games, and he would watch him possibly, or would watch her possibly on a whole season. So yeah. Lorette says my daughter was scouted in a club for BB season 12 because of her ex, douche celebrity, but didn't go because of her kids. Oh my gosh, scout. I would have loved to have, when I was in my club days, would have Big Brother be like, come here, God, be like, what? Never happened to me. But so interesting. Yes, we need, after listening to this interview, a digital carnival. I agree. Brittany needs to be on Traitors season 3. She definitely needs to come back for Traitors. I want to make like a fantasy list of reality TV stars in the Bravo world, Survivor world, Big Brother world. I guess I could pull some Bachelor people, but I don't know a ton about them. And then I'd need you guys' help for some RuPaul's Drag Race type people. But I think I'm going to pull together maybe a little list, and maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow morning. And you guys can let me know what you think and who you want to see on Traitors season 3, because it's such a good show. I'm already so looking forward to Thursday. And again, if you didn't watch yesterday's episode, or it was the day before, spoiler alert about Traitors 2, warning. Most people know this, but in case you didn't want to know this, I'll give you a minute. Here's a spoil. We're going to have a spoiler.
Where's Meredith Marks when I need her?
The rumors, the nastiness, the rumors, the nastiness. You want me to go there with her husband? I can go there. You can leave.
You can leave. The rumors, the nastiness, the rumors, the nastiness, the rumors and the nastiness of it all is that Traitors is going to be seeing another, we had that little, coming this season, in the season trailer, after the first 3 episodes dropped. Kate Chastain from Traitors season 1 is going to be coming back in the capacity of playing in this season. So I've seen most people happy about it, some mixed reviews, and then Dr. Will is coming back, he never was on Traitors, but he's coming to Traitors, and he is not going to be playing. It's some kind of, how did they describe it? They said he's set to make a guest appearance later in the 2nd season of the Traitors on Peacock. So it's some kind of guest appearance. We speculated, are they setting Dr. Will up in some kind of host capacity? Because they also were saying that it's something that might also happen in the future. So it might be an ongoing thing that he comes back in this capacity. So we'll see. But Kate Chastain from last season is going to come back to play for the money. Don't know if she'll be traitor or faithful. That hasn't been leaked. But we do know that Dr. Will come back as a guest, and he might be guesting on future seasons as well. And also Janelle was partying with Bergie. Janie and Bergie it looked like at her house in Minnesota. She had a Traitors viewing party. And I saw some pictures and I'm like, is Bergie from Minnesota? But they met up and they were hanging out. And let me see, I think it was on her, let me check out. It was on her Instagram, I'm pretty sure, is where I saw it. And I was like, oh my gosh, Janelle's hanging out with Bergie. Let's see, Janelle. I don't want to brag, but she does follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. Shout out to Janie. I nearly shit my pants when she first followed me, and I was like, oh my God, Janelle follows me. But, Minnesota girl, stay supporting Minnesota girl. I thought she posted it here, but maybe it was on Twitter. But it must have been, maybe it was her Twitter. Let me see. But it looked like they were hanging out. So I don't know why. Maybe you guys know. Is he from Minnesota? Oh my God. Mims, are you watching Traitors? It's so good. And Phaedra is killing it. She's doing so well. Mims says Phaedra is a pathological liar. I think she's perfect. The thing is, obviously Phaedra's last couple seasons and last season in particular on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, not good. Yeah, not good at all. But Phaedra on Ultimate Girls Trip and stuff, enjoyable. So I think Phaedra is really good for these kind of shows, maybe just in a housewives capacity, for a full, I don't know, to bring her back. Some people would say never bring her back for what she did to Candy, and some people would say bring her back. But let's see. Janie. Yeah, here they are, Bergie. Her and Bergie just hanging out, I think, in her kitchen. People want Janelle to do recaps. That would be great. Some spaces, but she said they're strict about what you can talk about, which makes sense. I mean, yeah, we don't want the cast to spoil everything, but I thought that's interesting that they'd be hanging out. And Janelle is nominating Josh Martinez for Traitors season 3. No, I enjoyed him in Reindeer Games. We gave him a chance there. Keep him over in the challenge world where him and Fessy and Casey allegedly ruined it. Not right now. No, please stop. Please stop. Sydney, thank you so much. You have a great evening as well. Mims is not wrong. And Dub says she's a great villain. She's a great. Laura says, I love Alan Cumming. Did you see Plunkett and McLean back in the day? My favorite movie. I don't think I've ever seen that, Laura, I don't think I've ever seen that. Mims says she lied about her due date. Oh, yeah. She was like, I don't know when I'm due. I don't know. I don't know. This baby's got to come eventually. It's going to come. I was like, oh, Phaedra. But I mean, she's a lawyer. She's a liar. You know how some of the Southern people, they're like, I got myself a liar. You're like, a lawyer? A liar. You're like, oh, makes sense. It makes sense. Amy says, Josh M cries too much for me. I mean, yeah. Mim says, who's that messy queen who lost Celebrity Big Brother? He would be perfect. Todrick? No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. No offense, all offense. No, thank you. Todrick was such a poor sport, Mims. Oh my gosh. He didn't even do media or press after that. I'm like, no, you got paid okay, probably decent money. And if you're not even, and it didn't go your way and you didn't like how people were calling you out, so you don't want to do any of the press. And then he waited for like a year and then did press with Ross Matthews and nobody cared, because he just wanted to speak into his own little echo chamber of people that follow him closely, in my opinion. But I don't need to see him again. Yeah, he's on the naughty list. But I understand some people might want to see him. He wasn't fun to watch. He was not fun to watch on Big Brother. I thought he was going to be so fun. I was so excited. And I was like, no. So that's what we have going on, you guys. I'm going to be back later today with a Raquel. Rachel Goes Rogue, episode 2. We're going to react to some of the bigger revelations, if there are any, that come out of that. But we have fun just roasting and recapping it, and maybe cover a little bit of the latest Tom Sandy Butt podcast. And tonight I'll be back for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which I'm super excited about. Always love a Wednesday for Beverly Hills. Tomorrow is Traitors. Tomorrow is Southern Charm reunion part 2. There's just so much TV. I can't do anything. There's just so much TV to watch. So thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of No Offense, All Offense, our somewhat daily live stream show where we take a look at all things pop culture, reality TV, roast it and recap it. And basically I gave myself my own radio show because nobody else would. All right, you guys, hit that like button, comment after the video, post, share me with your friends. Let's try. I really want to get to 40,000. I would love to get to 44,000 subscribers by the time I turn 44, which is February 17th, but that is a lofty goal since we're at 36 something right now. And that's, a little under 10,000 we would have to get, but you never know. Vanderpump is starting. Traitors, if you have friends, you want to share me on your social media. If you don't mind, if you don't want to, no problem. But I've just set this little goal out there, me and my little goals, and hopefully we can make that happen. But if not, I appreciate all of you, and I'll be back later. So
Thank you. You're welcome.
thank you. You're welcome. Always remember to enjoy yourself because it's later than you think. Bye.